Just be silent. I'm serious. A lot of people just lack the confidence to be silent whenever they are uncomfortable or whenever there's a... But who said that it's uncomfortable? It's not. I really enjoy sitting in silence with people. I did that for an hour today with random strangers. It was an organized event where at first we went into the room and we sat there and we were comfortable, or we were getting comfortable, and then the goal was to spend 1 hour just completely in silence and just everybody focused on themselves. And afterwards, I felt so comfortable. I felt so at peace and I felt ready to actually say something. And we all had a lot of things to say because we were all very comfortable. Dude, sometimes people just get very uncomfortable and just think of things to say, and I could think of a million examples where this has happened to me, but I also don't want to expose anybody because I don't want to put myself above anybody else. I don't think that that's my position. I'm just sharing what I notice a lot. Silence is so valuable. It's just incredible what it does to the human mind. I was writing in my journal during this big pause thing of not talking, so maybe I should explain what was going on. So I went to this event. It's an offline event, and so the purpose was to hand your phone to strangers who then locked the phone in a cage and let it scream for hours. I don't know why I said that, but the phone was in the cage, locked, and then people would just socialize first and then have an hour of silence and then socialize again. And it turned out that after having that break or that time to focus on yourself, it was much easier to have conversations with them. And it wasn't awkward. I don't know why I always thought, oh my god, but if you're silent, it means that you're boring, it means that you have nothing to say, it means that people are probably judging you. Huh? I have this one friend who's really secure in herself. I mean, she is a human being, she has flaws, she has problems, she has issues, but she knows how to be with herself and how to just take herself a step back and really just don't say anything if she doesn't have anything to talk about, if she just needs a moment of silence. We all do. And the amount of things that I wrote down in my diary, at a certain point I just stopped caring. See, I was journaling about my life, and usually I think, oh my god, what am I gonna write about, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. And then I just started putting down random words. Like they weren't even forming sentences. I was just associating. So for instance, I wrote bombs, I wrote trauma, I wrote psychiatric hospital, I wrote traveling, I wrote Australia, I wrote... Am I just saying vote? I wrote a couple of things down. And so my point with this is not that you need to take up journaling, it is just that silence is so valuable, and I didn't comprehend it, and I still don't really comprehend it, but I can look at my journal and say, oh my god, I was in a completely different headspace there. And maybe that's inspiring to you, maybe it isn't. I mean, if you want to make that experience for yourself, then do that. I feel like that confidence, that belief of, okay, I am allowed to take myself back. I don't have to be, or I mustn't be the entertainer of everybody, and I don't always have to talk, comes with age. Because in this room of people, there were a lot of older people. In fact, I was the youngest person there. And these people, they just pretty much, I mean, some of them didn't, but most of them seemed pretty laid back, pretty relaxed. And it doesn't mean that they have figured it all out, but it just does mean that they are certain people who don't feel like they have to constantly prove themselves to everybody. I listened to this podcast episode. It was about how to be a magnetic person, how to attract everybody, and so on. You think of that whatever you want to think of that. I used to be obsessed with this theory of, oh my god, I can attract my dream guy, I can attract things into my life and everybody will like me. But that's not really the purpose of the being a magnet theory, because a magnet is just, it's just sitting on a wall and it attracts stuff. That's how I imagine a magnet. Sometimes they happen to be on your fridge as well. But the magnet doesn't really care about attracting other people. The magnet is just satisfied with themselves, herself, himself, whatever. And I want to be like that as well. Yesterday, for instance, wanted to meet up with this girl because I thought to myself, oh my god, I need to have some sort of social interaction because I haven't had social interaction all day. But who is to say that there's a rule? Okay, 1 social interaction a day. There's no such rule. You just need to find what feels good for you. And I think also talking to lots of different people will, from my experience, it has only helped me with this mindset, because there's bound to be breaks in conversations, but the more comfortable you can get with those breaks or those pauses, the better it is. Also, if you reflect, sometimes my therapist would just sit in silence with me, and that meant, okay, Leah, I give you space to talk about your feelings. And I used to be like, dude, therapist, why are you not saying anything? That is so weird. And I was really thrown back by that. And I mean, it really shook me. And now I realize that if I'm silent, it means that I let the other person speak. So it is not considered rude. What even is rude? But it's not considered rude if you are silent in a conversation when you don't know what to say, because then you give the ball to the other person. You know, the person can throw the ball right back at you. She can just share something about herself, more about herself. And if nobody says anything, then that's good. At uni, I feel like, uni. Now every time on my YouTube channel I swear, I'm just like, uni, uni, No, but sometimes I have made the experience that it is oftentimes very, very small talk based, and I hate small talk. I dislike it. If it doesn't lead to anything, if it doesn't lead to friendships, if it doesn't lead to people becoming my sort of second family, then bye. But that's just my thing. And if you want to do a different thing and just always be talking, you do you. I'm just questioning how happy you are with that, or if you always feel like yourself in these moments. Sometimes, listen, we all want people who make us feel like the version of ourselves is okay. And I want to be accepting of a lot of people, and that means I also want to give them the room to speak. I talked to people that had different ages, and this woman was saying, oh no, first, this man, he looked at me, or he didn't look at me specifically, but he looked around and said, oh yeah, I don't really like talking to Gen Z. And I was like, huh, am I Gen Z? And then I or somebody else said, why? And he was like, I don't feel like there's anything to talk about with them. And I was kind of offended because maybe I am Gen Z. I was born in 2005. Is that Gen Z? I don't know. And I never will. And I thought to myself, huh, that's an odd thing to say. I mean, I understand it to some extent. Some people are just in their developmental years, as am I. Maybe people who are in a different stage of life don't know how to interact with that, which is kind of odd because they have gone through it, but we listen and we don't judge. And then this other person was saying, yeah, it definitely takes more effort to be surrounded by people who you don't know and be surrounded by people who are in different age groups. And that is cool, that is a beautiful thing, because it's hard and hard work pays off, probably because you learn a lot about just things, I guess. I mean, I did. Just having the comfort of a lot of people who were sitting around me, who were really, some were old, some were not old, somewhere my age. It felt comforting. A lot of perspectives, a lot of people who you can't really predict what they're gonna say. And that's what makes everything magical. So, and now I'll just be silent. Because I'm exhausted and I'll just be silent, okay? If you don't have anything to say, just shut your mouth. Is this video gonna get copyrighted because I sang that much? I don't know. I hope it won't. That would be sad.